and learn to do that after this, that would be an incredible win. So I start with idea dumping. And idea dumping is maybe a term you've heard, blue skying. You're just growing the idea. Greenhousing, we're not green lighting yet, but we're just growing it. There's no no's or buts, it's just yes and, you're building up. The idea is very optimistic for that idea for a certain time. And every idea needs a little prompt. So I want to give you an example, one that we actually did. Is there anyone that works at Amazon in the room? Because I didn't get permission to share this, but I'm going to share it anyway. They asked us to show Alexa magically performing a fictional function, something that it actually can't do. So, the goal right here is to get massive amounts of idea generation. I'm trying to get to 50, 100 ideas in the first hour. And the key here is to not overthink the tech. A lot of people come up to me after and like, oh, what tech do you, what do you like to use, Jamboard or whatever? And it's like, we use whatever we need, paper, Sharpies, pens. I use a lot of software too, but it doesn't matter. We're not trying to get hung up at that. And we're not labeling our ideas. Have you guys ever been in a brainstorm where you go to the brainstorm and you actually come out of it feeling kind of bummed out because other people on the team, whether you don't have the same common language, you feel like they actually said, they shot your ideas down over and over. You put one out there and it's scary to do that. And then everyone takes out their shotguns and shoots the idea down right in front of you. Anybody have that feeling? It's the worst feeling ever. So we're not labeling them. You don't have to say, hey, I have a bad idea to share with you guys, or I have a good idea. There's no labels. We're just saying them. We're getting them on the list. And this is also a place to not put the producer's hat. Is there any producers in the room, by chance? Yeah, I'd love to talk to you later about making a movie. No, you're not allowed to, what I mean by producer for you guys is the person who's the organized, usually the taskmaster, they have to figure out how to get the project delivered by X amount of time, on time and in budget. That person should be in the process, but not quite talk about the logistics at that point. Because you're gonna shoot down an idea if it sounds too complicated. Or it sounds like it could be over budget. We're only building up ideas. So here's the example of the Alexa idea I was going with. We actually put up many versions of this. This is just 40 on a page, and we just go as fast as possible. One of the ideas, someone said we should get Nick Cage. So the pulse. This is something that after we do that process, we'll take this creative around the office, around the team. I have about 25 people on my team, and we'll just spitball at different places in the studio and say, hey, put your pulse on this. Which idea out of this whole list sounds interesting to you? And you'll notice you'll start to get little data points that generally for us just show that there's a human interest in this piece. It's not necessarily the coolest trick yet. It's not the coolest story, but it's something that's resonating for some reason with the team. So we end up pulling that one. We zoom in. It says, okay, so the device takes Zach underwater for a scuba trip. And immediately, this is why we don't have the producer start talking about logistics yet, because I could think of 50 reasons, I bet you guys could, why we should not do that video. The expense, the budget, how are we gonna do it? Are we talking about real diving, or is it VFX, is it gonna look bad? So all that to be taken into consideration in this next stage, which is the refinement of the idea. And so the refinement, still, there's no producer hat on, and we ask this question, what step is this idea in? Because oftentimes what we found in the creative process, great ideas, what have the potential to be great ideas, they're not labeled that in the beginning. They have to go through the process to become great. But those ideas get shot down so early, so this question helps protect those ideas as they move through the studio. It's the water cooler moments where we're talking with the team, and someone will be like, oh, you're shooting underwater? That sounds way too hard. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Do something else. And it's that moment, instead of that conversation happening that way, when we're spitballing an idea, we'll be like, hey, what stage is this idea? Are you looking for help to grow it? Are you looking for help to refine it and figure out different ways to do it? What process are you in? And again, the goal here, the common language that we build for the team, is that we're whittling down the idea. It's very Pixar-y, right? It's not about the person and turning down their ideas, but it's just generally what's the most interesting thing we could do. And when we look at this one, we start doing refinement for us. We start realizing that, maybe instead of a scuba mask, we know the retention on my videos go way through the roof and they can see my face and I fill up like 70% of the screen right away. So I can't have a scuba gear on, but let's make Alexa, maybe she magically transforms because the ball kind of looks like a helmet anyway, so we could do a trick there, and then I could be free diving. And then something else that we could do is so it doesn't look like a flood and it's deemed kind of freaky or scary for the audience. It could be like very tropical, fun vibe. So we can maybe add some fish in there, or like a fun, like a stingray or something. So we're just refining this process. And now it's time for execution. This is where the producer can put on the producer's hat, finally. And we ask a really impossible question. When we started this question at the team, it scared a lot of new people who joined, because we asked the producer and the production team to mock up the video in 1 hour. Like, make this video in 1 hour to preview it. It's a little bit like a storyboard, but we want the video format. So a little example of the mock-up, we have the producer, Nate. I mean, they're really janky. He's just mocking up, he's giving his lines, he's saying, hey Alexa, free dive, whatever, and then the water comes up, he's pretending to swim. Really rough, right? Not pretty. We do that process 8 times or so before we ever make it to this stage, which is where we shoot. And I thought it'd be fun. I'm a geek about the behind the scenes, so if you're down, I'll show you a short behind the scenes video. I'll narrate since there's no audio here. Basically, you lower this massive set into the water, and we have a bunch of a diving team, and we do the swimming practically, and the water, when you see the final video, we speed ramp it. So those are the steps. We grow, refine, and execute. I thought it'd be fun just to show you the final. Maybe we don't have the final video. You can look it up on TikTok, it's online. But that's a super special video. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how we